This time, the intense sequence unfolds across a field of tall grass in the Zaporizhzhia direction, where a Ukrainian drone engages in a prolonged pursuit with a Russian soldier moving through an abandoned agricultural sector. After spotting the aircraft overhead, the soldier immediately attempts to flee across the field, but the drone continues following patiently from behind without attacking right away, seemingly waiting to see whether he intends to surrender. Despite the continued pressure from above, the soldier refuses to stop and keeps searching for a way to escape through the grass. As the drone finally closes the remaining distance, the soldier suddenly throws the radio device he is carrying directly toward the approaching aircraft, triggering an explosion moments later. A lone Russian soldier is seen walking along a railway line without a weapon when he is detected by a reconnaissance drone operated by Ukraine's Omega Special Purpose Center. Exposed along the tracks with no nearby cover, he appears unaware that aerial surveillance has already locked onto his position. Moments later, an FPV drone rapidly arrives over the area. The soldier has no time to raise a weapon, no time to react, and no clear route left to escape the approaching aircraft. This footage captures one of the most intense moments along the front line. A Russian soldier is seen moving near heavily damaged buildings destroyed during earlier fighting across the battlefield. Moments later, a nearby Ukrainian drone unit is redirected toward the soldier's location after aerial surveillance detects movement in the area. Below, the soldier continues walking steadily without realizing he is already being tracked from above. As the drone reaches the position and visually confirms the target, it immediately descends toward the exposed route. The soldier still appears unaware of the incoming threat and continues slowly advancing with the apparent intention of crossing a nearby concrete road. However, just as he reaches the edge of the roadway, the drone rapidly closes the remaining distance and commits to the engagement before he can cross the exposed area. This time, the intense footage unfolds near the edge of a forest line along the front line, where a Ukrainian reconnaissance drone detects a Russian soldier slowly moving across the terrain alone. Moments later, a nearby Ukrainian strike drone unit is redirected toward the reported position and begins rapidly approaching the area from above. Below, the soldier continues walking at a slow pace, appearing exhausted after a long movement across the battlefield. As he nears a shallow trench nearby, the soldier suddenly reacts and breaks into a run, before quickly dropping down inside the trench and remaining completely motionless, seemingly aware that danger is approaching overhead. Above him, the Ukrainian strike drone reaches the last known position and begins carefully scanning the surrounding terrain. After several moments of searching, the drone finally detects the soldier concealed inside the shallow trench and rapidly descends toward the position to commit to the engagement. Two Russian soldiers believed they were safe inside a bunker hidden within an abandoned village house near the front line. For several moments, the ruined structure appeared quiet and untouched from the outside. But the concealment did not last long. A Ukrainian FPV drone rapidly approached the building, maneuvered directly through the damaged entrance, and flew straight into the small shelter where the soldiers were hiding before detonating inside the confined position. This time, a Ukrainian reconnaissance drone detects a group of Russian soldiers transporting supplies near the edge of a forest belt along the front line. As the sound of the drone begins echoing overhead, the soldiers panic and scatter in different directions, abandoning the supplies before they can continue moving them deeper into the position. Instead of pursuing the fleeing troops, the drone operator chooses to target the supplies left behind. Moments later, a munition is released directly onto the stockpile below, igniting a fire that quickly spreads through the equipment and provisions. Several minutes later, after most of the supplies appear heavily damaged by the flames, a Russian soldier runs back toward the burning position and attempts to extinguish the fire. He appears determined to save what remains, possibly understanding how important the supplies are for nearby units. However, the effort proves unsuccessful as the materials continue burning beyond recovery. After several failed attempts, the soldier eventually stops, exhausted and frustrated, and looks upward toward the Ukrainian drone, still silently observing him from above. In the Kostiantynivka direction, Mobile fire groups from Ukraine's Predator Brigade demonstrated coordinated rifle fire tactics used to intercept and destroy multiple Russian Molniya drones attempting to enter controlled airspace near frontline positions. According to released footage, Predator Brigade units carried out repeated operations targeting Russian drones conducting reconnaissance flights or preparing for strike missions above contested sectors. The recordings show how aerial movement can quickly become exposed once defensive teams establish visual contact and coordinate fire from the ground. Several sequences capture Russian drones maneuvering at low altitude while Ukrainian teams track them carefully before opening fire with controlled bursts. The footage highlights the growing tactical challenges faced by drones operating without sufficient electronic protection, coordinated support, or reliable air cover under constant battlefield surveillance. Across active sectors, the increasing use of mobile anti-drone teams continues shaping the aerial contest taking place above the front line. The war in Ukraine continues to intensify across the Kostiantynivka direction, one of the most dangerous sectors along the front line. The footage repeatedly captures isolated Russian soldiers wandering across exposed terrain without nearby units, cover, or clear direction. Some attempt to hide in unusual places, behind damaged trees, inside drainage pipes, beneath destroyed vehicles, or among scattered battlefield debris in an effort to avoid aerial detection. But FPV drones continue finding them across the contested landscape. Overall, the recordings reveal a repeated battlefield pattern unfolding under constant drone surveillance. Isolated infantry operating without air support, defensive drones, electronic protection, or coordinated assistance remain highly vulnerable once aerial reconnaissance establishes visual contact. Several sequences show soldiers continuing to move through open ground until Ukrainian FPV drones eventually lock onto their positions from above. The footage highlights what happens when infantry is deployed without coordination, protection, or a structured defensive plan. It also demonstrates the growing battlefield awareness and precision of Ukrainian drone operators, whose constant surveillance continues shaping combat conditions across active frontline sectors. Ukraine's 414th USF Brigade, known as the Worm Busters, continues pushing back Russian infantry assaults with sustained support from FPV drone strikes across the Donetsk direction. According to released footage, the unit carried out large-scale drone operations, deploying more than 30 drones within a single day to search for, track, and engage Russian soldiers moving alone, or attempting to establish defensive positions inside dense brush and forest cover. The recordings demonstrate how quickly infantry movement becomes exposed once aerial reconnaissance establishes visual contact from above. In several sequences, Russian soldiers attempt to flee after detecting incoming drones, while others remain hidden beneath vegetation, hoping to avoid detection. However, limited equipment and the absence of effective countermeasures leave very few reliable escape options once drones begin scanning the area systematically. Even in dense woodland terrain, Ukrainian drone operators maintain precise control while maneuvering through branches, avoiding obstacles, and following individual targets in real time. The footage highlights the growing tactical challenges faced by infantry operating without sufficient air defense, electronic protection, or coordinated support under constant aerial surveillance across active frontline sectors. The war in Ukraine continues to intensify near the village of Vanish in the Zaporizhzhia direction, where Russian infantry units are attempting to maintain pressure through forest belts and narrow tree lines along the front line. However, the advancing troops come under repeated attacks, coordinated by Ukraine's 142nd Mechanized Infantry Brigade. From above, reconnaissance drones continuously monitor movement through the vegetation and relay real-time coordinates to nearby artillery positions. Moments later, a familiar sequence unfolds across the battlefield as adjusted artillery fire begins landing around the Russian positions, forcing the infantry to remain pinned down inside the tree lines under sustained aerial observation and coordinated indirect fire support. Now it is the turn of net launch systems. Ukraine's Wild Hornets unit from the 10th Mountain Assault Brigade has equipped FPV drones with improvised net launchers designed to intercept Russian UAVs in mid-air. The drone closes in, fires the net, and entangles the target during flight, forcing it out of operation before reaching its objective. So far, 9 successful interceptions have reportedly been confirmed using this system. It is not a standard battlefield solution. It is improvised, experimental, and highly practical under frontline conditions. In a war where every Russian drone prevented from reaching a target can change the outcome on the ground, even a simple FPV-mounted net launcher becomes an effective tool in the growing aerial battle above the battlefield. The incident unfolded north of the village of Kostiantynivka in the Donetsk region, where a Ukrainian reconnaissance drone detected a Russian BM-27 Hurricane multiple launch rocket system moving along a dirt road near the forest edge. Moments later, a Ukrainian FP-2 strike drone was redirected toward the area as the launcher appeared to stop, possibly preparing for a firing operation nearby. From above, the drone rapidly closed the distance while maintaining visual contact on the vehicle. Seconds later, the FP-2 drone descended directly toward the launcher and struck the BM-27 Hurricane during the initial engagement. Moments after the impact, secondary explosions from onboard ammunition began erupting around the damaged launcher position.